This week, we heard a shocking outcome in the Harvey Weinstein case in New York, when the jury found him guilty for one woman and not guilty for a second woman with a mistrial for the third. Harvey Weinstein recently gave a bombshell interview with Candace Owens from prison. Candace Owens presents the shocking claim that Harvey Weinstein is innocent. What I found the most shocking was that in 5 hours of reporting, Candace Owens did not mention even once the most important element of the Harvey Weinstein trials, the connection to Gavin Newsom. Candace Owens gave the first interview of Harvey Weinstein since his trials began.
What I always found to be problematic about the Me Too movement from the beginning is we're conflating, he made a pass at me and I didn't like it, right? Or, I turned him down, or maybe I had a bad date with someone with rape. And this is very problematic. And sure, she can say that. I didn't like that he made a pass at me. But to jump on a train when people are saying I've been raped, I think it's irresponsible for women to do that. I really do think it's irresponsible for people to be conflating being hit on and not liking it, which you've admitted to, and I've been raped.
No question about it. It's all conflated, and it's all led to the idea that I am going to be the one they prosecute. I am going to be the one they persecute.
All 6 parts of her series on Harvey Weinstein are good, and I recommend you go watch them if you want a deep dive into the trial. She goes through the testimony of some of the women who accused Harvey Weinstein and shows how their testimony is problematic. Episodes 1 and 2 are about Miriam Mimi Halei, and episode 3 is about Jessica Mann. Both of them are from the New York trial. Episode 4 is about Eugenia Cherneshova from the Los Angeles trial. Episode 5 is the first part of the interview with Harvey Weinstein from prison, and episode 6 is the second part of the interview behind the paywall on CandaceOwens.com. While I do appreciate Candace Owens' work, I have 2 major problems with this series. First, she overwhelmingly accepts everything that Harvey Weinstein says is true without any pushback. There are no hard questions. I think part of this is she wanted to give him a platform to speak without interruptions, because no one's done that before, and I understand that. However, Harvey Weinstein is someone we know is a liar and a cheat. He's a very good liar and a cheat. I think it is smart to take what he says with some skepticism. I'm going to report on this story from a different angle. I do not want to take his word for it. I'm going to look at the facts in this case that are undisputed. There are a lot of facts that everyone agrees on. That way, it doesn't matter if we believe him or not. My second problem with Candace Owens is she never once mentions the governor of California, Gavin Newsom. It blows my mind that she can talk about the story for 5 hours and never once mention Gavin Newsom. By the time you get to the end of this video, I think you will understand why I am so frustrated about this. Now, I understand why Candace does not want to bring up Gavin Newsom. Candace Owens has mentioned multiple times that she is trying to pivot her channel away from politics since the election is over. Harvey Weinstein is also not going to want to mention Gavin Newsom because he's still waiting for his appeal in California. I am sure he does not want to upset the governor of California because it could negatively influence the outcome of his case. So I understand why neither of them want to bring up Gavin Newsom. But I think Gavin Newsom is the central issue of the entire case. To quickly recap what happened with Harvey Weinstein. In 2017, the New York Times released an article accusing Harvey Weinstein of sexual assault and rape of multiple women. Eventually, over 80 women came forward with allegations. Harvey Weinstein denies all allegations and claims they were either consensual or they never happened. In 2020, Harvey Weinstein was convicted in a trial in New York over the allegations of 2 women, Mimi Haley and Jessica Mann. He was sentenced to 23 years in prison. In 2023, he had a trial in Los Angeles over the allegations of 4 women. The jury found him guilty of acts against only one of the women, Eugenia Cherneshova, and he was sentenced to 16 more years in prison. Then in 2024, the New York trial was overturned on appeal because of mistakes made by the judge during the trial, like allowing unrelated testimony. What happened this week is that New York retried Harvey Weinstein for the case that was overturned and added a third woman named Kaja Sokola. In a shocking outcome, the jury members were deliberating for 5 days, and they were fighting and threatening each other in the jury room. The threats were so bad that the jury foreperson refused to return to the jury room. In a split decision, the jury found Harvey Weinstein guilty of a sexual act against Mimi Haley, not guilty of a sexual act against Kaja Sokola, and a mistrial was declared without a decision on Jessica Mann. New York prosecutors have already said they want to put Harvey Weinstein back on trial for a third time for the rape of Jessica Mann. So out of the more than 80 women who came forward, Harvey Weinstein was convicted for only 3 of them. 2 of the convictions were thrown out. 1 was retried and put back on. So he is in jail right now, based on the testimony of only 2 women. Depending on a future New York retrial, 1 more woman could be added back. The one woman's testimony from Los Angeles has a lot of questionable things about it. Harvey Weinstein claims he doesn't even know this woman. The woman claims that after the story was published in the New York Times, she decided to go to the police. She claims that Harvey Weinstein suddenly showed up at her hotel room and viciously raped her. But there's no evidence that he was even there or even knew her. She could have made the entire thing up.
I didn't know who he is.
You didn't know the power that he held in Hollywood at that time?
No, I did not.
Did you ever email him or have a conversation with him?
Never.
You never asked him for anything?
Never. I heard his banging on the door, and he was loud. I know it's him because he was saying his name, and I was really embarrassed, and I opened this door. I regret this thing for decade, for the last 10 years of my life, that I did open this door.
This reminds me of the case of E. Jean Carroll against Donald Trump. E. Jean Carroll claimed that Donald Trump raped her in a Bergdorf Goodman dressing room. Donald Trump claims he didn't even know this person, and she entirely made it up. This is the same situation. Ultimately, a jury in Donald Trump's civil case decided that he did not rape E. Jean Carroll. But in Harvey Weinstein's trial, the jury decided he did commit the rape, even though he denies it. If it was not for this one woman's testimony, which I think is debatable, Harvey Weinstein would have gone free when his New York trial was overturned. Harvey Weinstein's Los Angeles trial is now up for appeal. Just like the New York trial, there were problems with the Los Angeles trial. For instance, the judge let the jury make their decision based on information from the New York trial, which was overturned. That's not fair. Not only that, 3 jurors in the Los Angeles trial have come forward and signed affidavits saying that they regret their decision and they believe Harvey Weinstein was wrongly convicted. This is why the reporting by Candace Owens is so important. She goes through the testimony of the original 2 women in New York and the testimony of the 1 woman in Los Angeles. All women's testimonies have a lot of problems. Is it possible that Harvey Weinstein is actually innocent? The issue in these cases is consent. Harvey Weinstein is not the most attractive person. The obvious question is, how did he get so many women to sleep with him? If you are a man, it's not easy to convince women to sleep with you. You have to take them to dinner. You have to say nice things to them. You have to compliment their shoes. And you may not know anything about their shoes, but you still have to do it. There are so many men out there who cannot get a woman. And yet, here is Harvey Weinstein sleeping with some of the most beautiful women in Los Angeles. One explanation is that he was the most powerful movie producer in the world. And Los Angeles is filled with actresses who would do anything for an acting role. There are women out there who are slutty and power hungry and will sleep with a powerful producer whether they are attracted to him or not. Now, I know there are going to be angry people in the comments accusing me of victim shaming. I am not. If it was consensual, there is no shame. That's the point. It was either consensual or it was rape. Now put yourselves in the shoes of Harvey Weinstein. You are the most powerful producer in Hollywood. Beautiful actresses are throwing themselves at you all the time. Would you sleep with these women? Would you even have to rape anyone if so many people are trying to sleep with you? The hashtag #MeToo movement used the catchphrase, "Believe all women." But is that really what we should do? If we are honest, there are some bad women out there. Out of the more than 80 women that came forward with allegations against Harvey Weinstein, we know that at least some of them were not telling the truth. I remember at the time of the trials, hearing that Harvey Weinstein was charged for acts against 6 women. And I remember thinking to myself, that's strange. Where are all the other women? There were 80 women that came forward, and only 6 women are accusing him in court? Just from the discrepancy in the numbers alone, I suspect that some of these women are lying. Do not get me wrong. I believe the Me Too movement did encourage some good ideas, specifically that there are power dynamics in business that can be hurtful to women. But I also think that if people are lying and falsely accusing people of rape, that doesn't help women either. That ends up hurting the actual rape victims who we need to protect. In my opinion, one of the worst things a human being can do is make up a story accusing someone of rape when nothing happened. We know that people do this. A woman can come up with a complete lie, try to throw a man in prison, try to destroy his life when he is completely innocent. We saw this in the trial of Johnny Depp, when a jury found that Amber Heard knowingly spread false statements that Johnny Depp abused her. The jury awarded Johnny Depp $10.35 million. I find it absolutely disgusting when women do this, but these women are out there. This brings us to Gavin Newsom. Did you know that Gavin Newsom's wife, Jennifer Siebel Newsom, was one of the 4 women accusing Harvey Weinstein at the Los Angeles trial? She was one of the women the jury was unable to reach a verdict on. They looked at the evidence and decided that she was lying, or at least could not deliver a guilty verdict. How is this not the #1 news story about this case? The wife of the governor of California accused Harvey Weinstein of rape in court, and the jury was deadlocked. The reason why this is so significant is because Gavin Newsom is currently one of the frontrunners to be the Democrat nominee for president in 2028. A Democrat representative called Jasmine Crockett recently went on a podcast where she said this.
It is this fear that the people within the party, within the primary system, will have about voting for a woman, because every time we voted for a woman, we've lost so far. And I think that that's a natural fear, because we just want to win. So there's a lot of people that are like, you know what? Like, let's go find the safest white boy we can find. I mean, I'm just saying.
Those are the callers that we're hearing. We're hearing people.
No, for real.
A white man's got to do it. We're getting those callers.
For real. And to be clear, when we talk about them, I can tell you that there is one specific candidate. I had a donor on the phones with me telling me that all the donors are lining up behind that candidate. So I can tell, and I can tell you, it's not a black person nor woman, okay? So like, it is, they have, quote unquote, they have chosen, and when I say they, it's the same donors that most likely had their opinions about Joe Biden and moved. So like, that would be the they that I would talk about.
She explains that donors are lining up behind a white male candidate. I believe that person is Gavin Newsom. Now, personally, I think that is crazy. Since Gavin Newsom has been governor of California, he has practically bankrupted the state. Here's a chart of California population change. You can see that during COVID, California's population plummeted as people moved away from California under Gavin Newsom's leadership. Gavin Newsom's policies contributed to the horrible fires in Los Angeles that burned down a large portion of the city. And now Los Angeles has broken out into riots. Gavin Newsom is actually fighting Donald Trump, trying to stop him from bringing in the National Guard. It's almost like Gavin Newsom is purposely trying to burn his state to the ground. Just imagine what he would do to the country if he ever became the president. But for some reason, this is who the Democrats have chosen to elevate in their party. If they had their way, Gavin Newsom would be the next president of the United States, and his wife would be the next first lady. But there is a problem. Whether you think this is a good thing or not, people's vote is significantly influenced by how people perceive the potential first lady. Jennifer Siebel Newsom previously had sex with Harvey Weinstein. Because of that, a lot of people are going to perceive her as one of those slutty, power-hungry actresses. But what is even worse is it appears she was directly involved in covering up for Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein had hired a lawyer named David Boies, who's one of the most famous lawyers in the world. David Boies represented Bill Clinton during the Monica Lewinsky scandal and impeachment trial and the Paula Jones lawsuit. He represented the Clinton Foundation during the fundraising scandal while Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. He represented Al Gore during the Florida recount litigation. He was also involved in the Jeffrey Epstein trials and represented victim Virginia Giuffre. The first person to make statements about Harvey Weinstein was Rose McGowan, a former actress from Charmed and the movie Scream. Harvey Weinstein hired David Boies to protect himself from Rose McGowan. They hired a company called Black Cube, made up of former Israeli intelligence agents, to spy on Rose McGowan. Harvey Weinstein even offered Rose McGowan $1 million to stop talking before the New York Times article was released. All of this looks really bad for Harvey Weinstein. $1 million? That's a lot of money. Why would you offer someone $1 million unless you did something wrong? However, you have to remember that Harvey Weinstein cannot be prosecuted for anything related to Rose McGowan. Rose McGowan's claims are over 20 years ago. She signed a settlement agreement. She took $100,000. She never went to the police in over 20 years. And suddenly, she is claiming rape. You can't come forward over 20 years later with a story claiming rape. Harvey Weinstein legally cannot be prosecuted for that. But he did do all those gross actions with his lawyer and the Israeli intelligence agents to try to silence Rose McGowan to keep her from smearing his name. This is where Jennifer Siebel Newsom got involved. Jennifer's sister is married to Joshua Schiller, the son of Jonathan Schiller, a co-founder of Boies Schiller Flexner LLP, where David Boies is a partner. Jennifer Siebel Newsom called Rose McGowan and asked her, "What could Boies Schiller do to make you happy?"
Wait, when is this? When is this? Just to be clear.
This is about 6 months before the New York Times article on Weinstein that I set up broke.
Okay.
So this woman, I don't know, some blonde lady named with the last name of Newsom, cold calls me, and it's like, David Boies wants to know what it would take to make you happy.
This looks like Jennifer Siebel Newsom was part of the conspiracy to protect her former lover, Harvey Weinstein. Rose McGowan claims that Jennifer was working to silence her, just like David Boies had done with the victims of Bill Clinton. Rose McGowan has been very vocal about this phone call, calling Jennifer Siebel Newsom a spy. When Rose McGowan started publicly calling out Jennifer Siebel Newsom on X.com, Jennifer responded and admitted to her statements on the phone with Rose McGowan. But Jennifer claims that she was just trying to help and that she was a victim too. I don't understand this. How can you interpret that phone call in any other way than an attempt to try to keep another woman from speaking out? Honestly, guys, I was just trying to help Rose McGowan by shutting her up. Give me a break. Remember that Jennifer Siebel Newsom alleges that she was violently raped by Harvey Weinstein. Why would she even insert herself into this situation? So the whole thing becomes a big mess for Gavin Newsom. If Gavin Newsom wants a chance at the presidency, Jennifer Siebel Newsom would need to rewrite her story to be a victim. The entire story hinges on what type of woman she was. Was it consensual, or was she a victim? Gavin Newsom obviously wants the story to be told that she was a victim. She was forced to sleep with Harvey Weinstein. Jennifer Siebel Newsom reported her story to the police in 2020, accusing Harvey Weinstein of raping her. This was 3 years after the New York Times article came out about Harvey Weinstein. Why did she wait so long? Was she figuring out her story? She agreed to testify at the upcoming trial, but what is very strange is that she disclosed all of this to the press. Normally, in trials about sexual abuse cases, the victims in the case are kept secret, typically being referred to as Jane Doe. But she released her name and her story to the press. It was like she was doing a whole press tour leading up to the trial. Why would she do that? Why was she so determined to get her story in the news as a victim? If she really was a victim, wouldn't it make more sense to go and testify anonymously like what would normally happen? All her actions seem very suspicious. So what exactly was her testimony? Jennifer Siebel Newsom was a 31-year-old aspiring actress when the alleged rape took place. In 2005, she met Harvey Weinstein in a Beverly Hills hotel room. This was before she started dating Gavin Newsom the following year. When Harvey Weinstein started to get physical with her, she claims that she repeatedly said, "Please don't." That is strange testimony, because during her grand jury testimony 3 years earlier, she stated, "He, Weinstein, didn't drag me. I didn't scream. I didn't know I could scream. It's like I lost my voice." So I'm confused. Did she say no, or didn't she say no? Because that's kind of an important point. Why is her testimony different between what she told the grand jury and what she testified in court? Is it because she's a liar? Then they continued to have sex, and she testified that she made pleasure noises, explaining, "I just did it to make it stop." Okay, so she may or may not have said no. She was making pleasure noises. How is Harvey Weinstein supposed to know that is not consensual? Keep in mind, this was shortly after Harvey Weinstein got divorced from his first wife. So it is entirely possible that Jennifer Siebel Newsom was actually interested in becoming the next Mrs. Harvey Weinstein. It sounds to me like this could have been just a date. But it gets even more crazy, because during the trial, the defense went through nearly 70 emails exchanged between Jennifer Siebel Newsom and Harvey Weinstein after the alleged rape. Why would you continue to send emails back and forth to someone who viciously raped you? In 2006, the year following the alleged rape, Jennifer sent an email to Harvey Weinstein saying she would love to catch up at the Toronto International Film Festival. Really? She would love to catch up with the person who raped her? If there is anyone out there who knows someone who has been raped, can you comment down below if this is normal behavior? If someone is violently raped, would they then send their rapist an email saying they would love to catch up? The next year, in 2007, she emailed Harvey saying, "Keep your eyes and ears open for any roles." Really? She's asking to work with the person who raped her. Why would she want to work alongside her rapist? I'm really confused. But what is the most crazy is in 2007, she was dating Gavin Newsom when his own sex scandal broke in the news. He had cheated on his previous wife in 2005 with the wife of his campaign manager.
I want to make it clear that everything you've heard and read is true. And I am deeply sorry about that.
So the news broke in 2007, and Jennifer Siebel Newsom emailed Harvey Weinstein asking for advice on how to handle the bad press. Really? She's asking for relationship advice from the person who viciously raped her. Is it normal to talk to your rapist about your new boyfriend? For some additional context, Harvey Weinstein was still single at this point. He did not get married to his second wife until the end of 2007. Jennifer also did not get married to Gavin Newsom until 2008. This email from Jennifer could have been a subtle way for her to check out her options if there was still a chance that Harvey Weinstein could choose her to be his next wife. I just don't find any of her testimony believable. I don't find her story believable of her making pleasure noises. I don't find it believable that you would send all these emails to your rapist. Her story does not make any sense. You don't have to take my word for it. The jury did not believe her either. The politics of this case should not be underestimated. A lot of the work in the legal profession deals with the government. So in a place like California that is mostly Democrat, you do not want to make the Democrat Party mad. The governor of California has tremendous power. If you are a lawyer and you're blacklisted by the Democrats, your career is over. You couldn't get a job. The governor also makes judicial appointments. So if you're a judge in the case and you upset the governor, your career is also over. It has been reported that in Harvey Weinstein's Los Angeles trial, Gavin Newsom, the potential next president of the United States, literally waited in a room down the hall from the courtroom as his wife was testifying. This is like a hostage situation. Everyone in that courtroom is on pins and needles because they know if they make the governor's wife look bad, their career is over. Whether Gavin Newsom explicitly manipulated the trial or whether it was just implied coercion, I believe that him sitting outside the courtroom is going to impact the trial. It doesn't matter how crazy his wife's testimony is. The lawyers and the judge are going to support her story. I don't understand how you can call this a fair trial. I'm sure you're asking, how could all of this happen? How could these trials have so many problems and so many bad decisions by the judges and so much testimony that does not make any sense? In my opinion, I think Harvey Weinstein is in jail because of political corruption. This is the theme that goes through all the Harvey Weinstein trials. They happened in the Democrat strongholds of Los Angeles and New York. In my opinion, the legal system and the media went along with it because they all had to repeat the Democrat talking points, and Gavin Newsom desperately wanted to be the next president. If Jennifer Siebel Newsom lied on the witness stand, and I believe that she did, that means that the trial should be overturned and Harvey Weinstein should be released from prison. Now, you might be thinking that this is too unbelievable, that the governor of California would do something so petty and vindictive to throw his wife's ex-boyfriend in prison over a lie. Newsflash, sometimes powerful people do things that are petty and vindictive. There's an old book called The Count of Monte Cristo about someone who is wrongfully imprisoned and escapes. I think the point of that book is that the main character is framed for crimes he didn't commit for petty and vindictive reasons. A man's life is destroyed over trivial things. This book is a social commentary that sometimes unfair things like this happen. The main character is framed for a crime he did not commit by 4 villains. One is jealous of his career, one is jealous of his beautiful girlfriend, one is driven by greed, and the other does it to gain political power. Do you understand what I am saying? Harvey Weinstein is the Count of Monte Cristo. In my opinion, Gavin Newsom and his wife framed Harvey Weinstein to improve Gavin Newsom's chances of running for president. That is the only way that Jennifer's ludicrous testimony makes any sense. Now, I realize that not everyone is going to believe my explanation that there was a massive government conspiracy against Harvey Weinstein. But you have to at least admit that there were a lot of people involved in these cases with motivations other than achieving justice. For instance, take Kaja Sokola, who the jury decided this week that Harvey Weinstein was not guilty of crimes against her. So far, she has received $475,000 in a previous settlement over allegations against Harvey Weinstein. And she also received a separate $3 million settlement over more allegations against Harvey Weinstein. This woman became a multi-millionaire, even though the jury found Harvey Weinstein not guilty. My point is that there are a lot of people involved who are motivated to see Harvey Weinstein in jail, and justice has nothing to do with it. Now, I do admit that Harvey Weinstein was found guilty at trial. That was the decision by a jury. In the New York case and retrial, he was found guilty twice. In the eyes of the law, he is guilty. But I have looked at all the evidence in this case, and I've shown you the testimony. I think the jury made the wrong decision. I think Harvey Weinstein is innocent. This is heartbreaking because there is a good chance he may never exit prison alive. His health is failing. He has cancer. That jury decision is a death sentence. When you look at the limited evidence in this case, it is shocking that this is all it takes to send someone to prison for the rest of their lives. We need to ask ourselves, do we want to raise our sons in a world where a woman can make up a story about a man and have him sentenced to 20 years in prison? Has Harvey Weinstein done some bad things in his past? I'm sure he did. Is what happened to him in these trials terrible and unjust? Absolutely. Does he deserve to be wrongfully imprisoned? I don't think so. And if he ever gets out of prison, I think he might be one of those rare cases where he comes out of prison a better person than he went in. The one thing I know about life is this: you'll have bad times, but it'll always wake you up to the good stuff you weren't paying attention to. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Gavin Newsom and his wife are liars? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. If you found this video helpful, consider signing up for a membership on my website, wolvesandfinance.com. I'm constantly dealing with demonetization and shadow bans. For $6 a month, your support helps me to keep making these videos. Thank you to everyone who has signed up. I'm Zach from Wolves and Finance. Thank you for watching.